Okay, who's here? Nobody's here. All right. Well, that makes it easier. Audio going. Yep, looks good. All right. Let's see. So really got to make some formal videos on this and some real manuals and all that. But this is, you guys may not know exactly what's on the update for multiband gate 3.0.3. Some of you guys have been testing this for a while, so you know what this is. But let's go through the features anyways. So I don't know, I'm not good at the academic stuff, so let me pull up an actual, I'm just gonna pull up the test project you can pull off of our site, and let's put it on one of these drums here. Let's we can just do the kick for now. So here is the new version of multiband gate. Wait, how should I do this? Okay, so you got your three main windows here: your detection window, spectrum window, and the key window. This is going to tell you what it's listening to. I'm going to solo this kick drum here. And let's just let's bypass the gate first. Let's hear what the kick drum sounds like. Okay, so it's a kick drum. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to throw the threshold way down. So in the wrong window, sorry. Okay, so it's not doing anything right now. So you see the detection window is showing, you know, the peaks and waveform, whatever, it's showing up. Okay, so first of all, this has definitely changed. You see this right-hand corner right here. If you click between here, you're going to change the controls. I think people were complaining there's too many controls on the screen at once, so now we're just going to have one band's controls on at a time. If that really upsets you, we'll think about changing that again. Okay, so anyway, high, mid, low. Okay, so that's the detection window. If we're just going to use a basic gate here. Oh, I forgot to turn on the loop. 1 second. Okay, so just like regular gate, threshold, you know. One thing that's changed here is that you can unlink the thresholds. So I could have a different threshold for the highs than for the lows if I wanted. Let me put those back together, sorry. Let's see, so. Oops. What happened? Did I just win something? Just got a message from Sam Pilgrim. What Yeah, I don't think I want a Marin San Quentin 1 mountain bike. I'll take a look though. Okay, sorry. Let me shut up about that. All right, so this is your detection window. This is where you set your threshold. You know, there is input gain, or actually, this is output gain. Lower control. So if let's do this. I'll show you. So let's say we're gating stuff and we don't want it to go completely silent. So it's how much you're going to do in gain reduction. This is your link control. It's the same as this one. Is for making separate thresholds per band. Your attack, you know what that does. Your hold, hopefully you know what that does. This hold is going to hold the gate open for this amount of time regardless of what the signal's doing, at least. And then it's going to start the release curve after it goes below the threshold. And of course, in order to make that happen, you have a hysteresis control if you want, where you can set a different off threshold than on threshold. Okay, I'm going to turn that off for now. You have the bypass the band, mute the particular band, or solo the band. You have your polarity flip. Okay. I have it in two different things here, but the crossover amount. So you can do 6 decibel octave crossover, 24 decibel octave. Side chain, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Look ahead. I'm going to crank that up here because we're going to do some stuff in a second. So let me get about 15 milliseconds in there. Now these controls right here are universal. See how they're the same regardless of what band I'm in. The octave, the crossover, steepness, the side chain, look ahead, polarity flip is per channel. So if I change that on this one, actually that's the master polarity. Sorry. Okay. One of these days I'm gonna be prepared for this. So these polarity flips should be per channel. Yep. So there you go. So this is a per channel polarity flip, and this is the master polarity flip. Okay. Sorry again. Yeah, one of the big changes, besides the ability to unlink the thresholds on this new version, are the shapes. And so take a look at these. You see the blue line, which shows what's passing through the gate. The gray is the original audio. I'm going to change the attack shape here. You can see it curve slightly. You're not going to see too much of this on the attack side of things. Where you are going to see is on the release, we used to have kind of a, well, it used to look like this. How about that? And that could sometimes make the cymbal spitty, like especially like a hi-hat and the snare could make it a little bit too spitty, but it often worked pretty good on a kick. So that was the shape we had kind of at first. But now you can just change to whatever release shape you want. Now, this is different than the attack and release time. This is actually the shape of the curve that it's making. So let me show you that. Okay, so let me make a this kind of release, and I'm gonna make a longer release though. Gee, so these are independent. The release time tells you how long it's actually going to take to do this whole release, while the shape shows you the shape of it. All right, so I think that's the basics for this stuff. I think you know how each channel's got its own attack, hold, and release time, and like I said, you could have a different you could have them linked, thresholds unlinked if you wanted. Here's a spectrum window. So this is going to tell you where the crossovers are for the 3 different bands. Okay, and I think that this gain, yep, so this is the gain per band right here. I never use it that way. I just grab the thing, and I often just do this. I don't know. It turns any mic into a D6, right? Double click these to get them back to Unity. And so here are the you might not see this, but you can change the look how much more high frequency content is in here when on the lows when we have the crossovers at the mellower. It's just some people are having a little bit of phasing issues. So we have this mellower crossovers that aren't so phasey. All right, I don't think there's anything really to show in the spectrum window, but just, you know, this is how you set the frequency of the crossover. You can type it in right here if you really want. You could type in the gain values too, set the gains. You might just want to boost a little bit, you know, right? I mean, this is a very coarse thing, but sometimes it just works. So now let's go to the key. So now this is what the detector's listening to tell how to open or how to close, or when to open and close. So let's here's a low pass filter for it if you want to use it, and by default it's off. Come here, roll your mouse wheel. You can change the you should be able to. What am I doing wrong here? Oops. Yeah, I'm rolling my mouse wheel on here. You could type this in or drag it, I think. Yeah, you can just drag it. I just roll the mouse wheel. So let's say I want this peak right here to tell the gate when to open. In practice, you're going to have to set a lot of look ahead because the low frequencies take a long time to develop. If you look at them on an O-scope, you really be able to see this. I'm going to set a high pass here because it's going to take so long to get past that stuff right there. So, and again, the slope was off. I'm going to make it ridiculous, 48 decibels an octave. So now we have a much more focused thing that's just on the kick drum. Now here's the, this is from Jason Zadora, I think is his name. Hey, welcome aboard. Yeah, hopefully you saw some of this. So, in case you haven't seen this before, the transient shaper, this came from Jason Zadora, who makes really cool impulse videos if you really want to capture like guitar sounds and stuff. It's really, he's got an awesome channel. He said, hey, I'm going to put a transient detector. Well, you can go back and watch it later on. It's mostly rambling anyway, so no problem. But he threw a transient detector in his side chain, and he said it works so much better that way. So you know what? We added one. So if you turn one on here, and I'm just going to crank the attack all the way up. And now look, we just got these sharp, and I'm going to take the sustain all the way down. Now you look at that pulse, just blip, blip, blip. So now you got a really clear signal based on the dynamics of the kick. Now this ain't going to work if you have like one of those dribble foot drummers and the snare's louder in the kick drum than the kick is. Then you're going to have some problems. But right now that is a clear signal, man. So there you go. So let me get back to the detection window. Now look at that. So I'm pretty happy with that. So again, yeah, since you missed the beginning, this is just how you switch between the bands because people were complaining there was too many controls on the screen at once. So now you just see the ones that you want to look at the time. And we may make an overview version later on if we want. The big change besides that is going to be that now you can change your attack shapes. This is going to make a way bigger difference on the snare with a little bit of cymbal coming through. So let me go there. Let's see if this, the problem is this drummer's really good and he knows where to, he puts his hi-hats like in a different zip code than his snare. So there's not that much bleed, but it should still show it. So let me get this part here. Okay, yeah, there is a little bit of bleed there. Okay, good. Okay, so first I'm gonna go to the key thing and let's see, where's the... So it looks like the snare is right here, okay? So I'm gonna kind of narrow in on this area. Then I'm gonna the really steep filters on. There not much left, right? Now that horrible fluty sound, as horrible and fluty as it is, man, that is the perfect detection signal. And again, I'm going to do some look ahead because we're pretty far down here. You won't really need that much look ahead to make the detectors work once you're in like the 2K range or whatever, but you know, that's not where most of our drums are, right? So you're probably going to need some look ahead to really do this well. Start with 15. If you hear some kind of pre-nonsense, you know, turn it down. So now I'm going to turn on the transient shaper. Now I just got this little blip, right? So good. Look at the spectrum here. Did I forget to this guy again? Okay, so here's the problem with the transient shaper. It's, man, the filters are so steep. There we go, okay. The snare's kind of funny, because do I care about this super low information down here? It can die for all I care. Here's the bottom of the snare as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm going to get in here. I don't think so. I think that this is really the thump that I want down here. This mid part, meh, don't really care that much. But I do care where the hi-hat's coming in. So let me solo the high band. And I don't mind a little bit of mids coming through with the hi-hat, but I don't want much. I mean, honestly. So even look at how I'm down to like 1K. All right. Okay, so now let me go back to the detection window. Let's make sure we're catching them all. Okay. Actually, this is a good case for this. How did you get those parameters that you're moving around? Is that on the spectrum window, you mean? Like this, oh yeah, you could just drag, this is not showing the mouse, okay. You could drag your crossover points right here. And, you know, for a kick, you might just pull this middle down, right? But you can type these in too. It's these numbers right here, so. And then here's the game. Yeah, this stuff kind of got moved around. I'm not really sure if this is exactly where it's going to be, you know, forever. So here's a perfectly good time to show that now you can unlink the thresholds. So if I don't want this to be the master threshold, I can unlink and I can tell this lows to have a different threshold. Because maybe I don't want that. I definitely don't want those toms opening this thing up. So I can unlink that threshold. But I'm gonna relink it for now, and I think I'm gonna unlink the highs because that's where you're really gonna have trouble. All right, so this is the big deal. Unlinking the threshold is gonna be your big deal for a lot of this. Let's see. What do you think? Is it okay to have that tom rolling through there? Probably. But if you really want to make one of those 80 snares where you're gonna like boost the hell out of the low end, you might want to make this shorter, and this could be quite long. Now, you could make the entire curve just the part of the snare you care about, like with like a zero release, you know. To me, even though it's probably going to be really in a mix and you're going to be masked by all kinds of stuff, it still sounds weird to me. So I would probably, if I really just wanted that thump of the snare, I might shorten the hold a little bit and at least give it like, you know, 50 or 100 milliseconds release. So it just has that boom, boom, boom. But you could do this any way you want it. And here's a good candidate for changing your release shape from this kind of quick fade to a longer fade. You know, it might let the next snare tom hit in or whatever, but I think you're gonna be okay with that more rounded shape. To me, this slower fade out for the release shape drives me nuts when there's cymbals. So on the highs, I don't think this kind of shape will work at all, but probably gonna work on the lows here. But again, I don't like stuff that short, so I know. Give it a little. Okay, so the mids, you know, again, half the time I see people use this plugin, you know, they ask me, why don't you just make it a 2-band plugin because we're just going to mute the mid band. But I don't know. I think you still need a third band, right? Because you need to know what you're muting. So, but you know, not everybody's going to mute that. How did you get those lines to show up in the main view? Which lines? So this switches between the three main windows: detection, which is for the threshold, spectrum for the crossovers, and in-band gain, and then key for the key detector. Okay. So now let's go to the. I'm actually pretty happy with this mid. I'm gonna make this mid short though. I really don't care. It can end quickly. Now for this highs, you see how this cymbal, man, it's killing me. So I'm gonna unlink the highs. So I'm going to have these guys just open when they open, and it can close a lot earlier than the rest of them do, and I'm not going to care that much. So now I've got a tinier blip to work with on this now, and so if I do this release shape, you see how much symbols in there? And it sounds subtle, so I'm going to shut up so you can hear. Now, if I change the shape to kind of a quicker fade out, now I'm not so worried about, you know, that symbol, because it's just that smack. And again, this isn't the release time. I'm changing the release shape. You can look at the like there's a quarter pipe right here. You know, I just use skate park analogies here, and here's your like convex hip kind of roller pump thing. But if you want to catch air, here's your lip. Bam-o. Look at that transition. All right. So with this attack, if I go and put Alex's exciter on here, for instance, right? So you got that snap in there. Remember, we're just listening to the soloed highs, right? If this shape, oops, so sorry, this is the kick. Where's the, what did I just put? Oh man, come on, wake up. All right, so if this release shape was the old way, and I'm not talking about release time. That's the tricky part to kind of get your head on, but see, with that other release shape, you got way too much spittiness in that symbol. It works for the low end, but for the high end, to me, it's the opposite. So now that I have this little quarter pipe here, this transition, I can go and, man, watch, I'm going to put even the high mids on here. And it's really just going to make the stick crackier rather than becoming a cymbal booster. So let me take that out of solo. I'm not Glenn Fricker. I got nothing against drum samples. You want to use drum samples? That's cool with me. And but you know, you got a decent drummer, and if you really hate drum samples or whatever, you can get, once you're in the mix with this, even though it sounds pretty, I mean, it still sounds clipped, right? I mean, still, that doesn't sound like a natural snare, right? I mean, but you know, in the mix it will. But okay, so there's a couple other things here. Let's say that let's say there's just one hit that just isn't firing. It's just not working. So let me click source right here. I'm just gonna take a little blip out of the Reaper click source right here. I'm sure you guys all have like little die racks or something that you can use for this. This is probably not the ideal thing to use for this. Actually, it might fly right through the side chain. I'm going to find out. In fact, let's not use that. Let's use let's just use one of our own kicks. Take this guy. Paste it here. Get rid of this fade. And what do I got here? Just got a little kick sound here. Probably be better with the high frequency sound, but whatever. This will show you what's up here. So I'm gonna sidechain this. And again, man, this is killing me because a lot of DAWs still can't do any sort of decent routing, which is nuts, you know, in 2010 or 2020 or whatever. So in this case, I'm going to send to 3 and 4 on the receiving track. You're going to see these pins in a second. This is going to get a little bit ugly for a second, but Give me a second. So now if I look at the pins on the kick track, so I'm going to go to kick. And you're going to have something similar in your other DAW, but this is basically how Reaper's routing's looking. I've changed this to a track with 4 channels inside it. Oh, show my pan loss setting? My pan loss setting. I don't really do anything with it. Looks like default pan law +0. I don't know. I don't even know what my pan law is. Sorry. I'm using project default stereo balance on project. Okay, let's see. Project setting. Where's the pan? Is it advanced? No, okay, so yeah, +0, the default one is all I'm using. I know people argue like over this crazy. If it's different for me, I just mess with it until it goes where I figure it's gonna go. Okay, so anyway, track channel 1 and 2 are the inputs to multiband gate. 3 and 4 are the sidechain inputs. This might be different on your DAW. And in case you didn't know, you can separate out the highs, lows, and mids to different outputs. The 1 and 2 output are by default going to be the whole signal, and then you can make your outs for your highs, outs for your mids, and out for your lows there. So I'm going to turn on the sidechain here, and you know what? I don't know for sure that this is actually going to work. So let's go to the keyless in here. I'm going to turn off the transient shaper. I'm going to get rid of all the filters. And let's just make sure that the only thing we hear when this goes is this guy right here. I'm going to take this out of the master just so there's no confusion. So when I play this signal right here, okay, so that's go. So let's say that man, he just didn't kick it hard enough right here on this kick drum. So I always have these things kind of I have a Reaper script that has like these things in a copy and paste thing, so they're always there. I can just paste them right wherever I want them. So let's say I want to open this thing because this wasn't kicked hard enough. Let me loop this section. So right now we're just listening to the sidechain, okay? So if you need to filter your sidechain, you want to make this a little bit clackier so that it'll hit easier. You probably don't need as much look ahead. In fact, we could shape this here. Okay, so now we got a spike here. So if I got sidechain mode on, so that's what it's going to listen to. It's not going to listen to the audio here. It's just going to listen to the sidechain. If you need it this way. So when we go back and get out of the key filter, go back to detection. When it gets to that one hit, it's going to open the gate, okay? So that's how the sidechain is going to work. This is not the way you're going to run this a lot of the time, but if you do need the sidechain, or if you want to do something crazy like, put that on your bass guitar track and have your kick open your bass every time, like some crazy EDM guy or something, you can do it that way. The other thing to show here is that the gate source, let me get out of sidechain mode. Gate source can be audio, which is, your regular audio input, or MIDI. So again, you could do something like this, like let's say you have a insert new MIDI item. I'm horrible at MIDI, man. So, and let's say if you really got this thing lined up to a grid and stuff, you could actually just put this on your, you could turn snapping on and go to your MIDI editor. Oh, wow, so big. So big. Okay. I think it's 36. Is that right? 36. We can set this to whatever we want. Drop a MIDI note in here. And MIDI all. Okay. So when this MIDI goes, we should see... Oh, there's too much junk in the screen. Okay, let's solo this guy, solo that guy, close this. So let's say I want to open it on that kick drum. And again, you're probably going to have this on a grid later on if you've been editing the hell out of everything. Let's go to loop this. And what do we have? Which note do we have? A MIDI note. It's going to be... Uh-oh. Don't tell me this isn't working. So saying all, but... What am I doing wrong here? Oh, for one thing, I got the high soloed, sorry. So that's the audio detection. Okay, now we're on MIDI. Why am I not getting MIDI? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not doing something really dumb. MIDI. This is 36. I might have an octave jump right here, so I'm making sure. Or the thing just doesn't work right now. This might be one of the ones that we didn't actually test here, so I don't know why I can't check this box. So C2. And depending what we're calling C2 as well. Okay, so... And if this really is the problem, we'll fix this. C2, C0, D1. Just type in 36 here. I don't know why this isn't working. So this might be, we may have a bug right here. So sorry about that, anybody who's watching. But what this should be doing is the gate source should be able to take MIDI or audio. Of course, it's working with the audio. The MIDI should fire it, so I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong here. Could be a bug, but you can do audio or MIDI, or you can do both. And in both mode is where you're probably going to live most of the time. And let's say this thing won't fire. Throw a MIDI note in there. And what I meant to do, I don't think this got added yet, but I want to have a choke note so that if you've set a different note, it will force the gate not to open with a different MIDI note, so that you can, let's say you got a tom that keeps triggering your snares, or you got more likely you got a snare that keeps triggering your toms. You could put a stop on there. But I don't see. Let's see. I don't think we added that yet, but that's going to be in there. So while I'm figuring this out with Dave, what's going on with the MIDI note thing here, I think we got to add that stop note. Our other new plugin, AutoGate, actually has a stop note, but this one will have as soon as I get around to it. But let me see what's going on with this. This is driving me nuts. So let me just make sure I'm actually getting MIDI where I think I'm getting MIDI. The yellow is MIDI, right? And Reaper, yep. So it's getting MIDI to that track. Oh, because I'm an idiot. That's why. Hold on. Or no, maybe not. Okay, let me get rid of this track 3-1. I don't need that. See if the MIDI. Yep, the MIDI's definitely getting there. Yeah, I'm not sure. We might have a broken MIDI thing. Let me see if I can tell you. Put our MIDI monitor on here. So So we're definitely seeing it. C2. So MIDI's getting in. This may just be a bug. Sorry about that. Yeah, seeing it. All right, well, we'll take care of that. I think that's pretty much everything else that's new on here. So you got basically your attack and release shapes per band. And again, the controls are hidden. You're only seeing one band's controls at a time, right? The attack and release shapes and the ability to unlink the threshold so you can have separate thresholds for each band. And I think that's it. I'm going to go try and take care of this MIDI thing. And if I got it going, I'll be back. And then I want to change this to, I want to make sure we have a stop note too, so that we can force the gate closed, even if it's trying to open. And I think that's everything for now. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, who tuned in. And I'll issue an update as soon as I know what's going on with this MIDI thing. All right. Thank you, everybody, and see you guys later.